Hi, I'm Dr. Mary Claire Haver, a board-certified OBGYN and menopause specialist. My new podcast, Unpaused, is the place for bold, unfiltered conversations about what it really takes for women to thrive in the second half of life. Every week, I sit down with medical experts, cultural icons, and powerhouse women to talk about what really matters: your health, your power, and your future. We're covering hormones, identity, finances, relationships, and so much more. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Listen to and follow Unpaused with me, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Look, most of what shapes us and makes us who we are is not really visible, right? Until you stop and look back, try to remember the things you went through that shaped you, that carved you, that chiseled you, that forged you. But if you stay stopped too long, you keep looking back too much, you start drifting backwards. That's something that always wants to creep up in our culture, our society, a lot of looking back, right? I'm a huge hip hop head, man. Y'all know, y'all heard the beats coming on. Y'all hear it in all of my episodes. I'm always going to bring up hip hop. It's so integral to who I am. But hip hop, man, it's full of a lot of looking back. You know, there's a lot of, man, I went through this. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jay-Z is still telling you how he sold drugs before 1988. He's still telling the same story. And I'm not saying that story is not important. What made him ain't important. But what I am saying, and what today's episode is all about, is movement, memory, and the discipline of looking forward, right? The great Andre 3000, my man Andre Lauren Benjamin of the world famous group Outkast once said, "Spaceships don't come equipped with rearview mirrors. They dip as quick as they can. The atmosphere is now ripped." Take a pause there, because that's it's literally one of the greatest lines of all time. Right? And that line hit me when I first heard it. It's cool, it's dope, it's poetic, it's mysterious, right? It's true Andre 3000, right? You're talking about spaceships and rearview mirrors. You know, it's kind of some kind of analogy. You know, it's like, what? Right? It's a metaphor. But look, it's also a mechanical truth, right? When you fly, the only thing that matters is what's ahead. A spaceship don't need a rearview mirror because there's nothing behind it that can catch up. It's traveling too fast. I want you to let that sink in. A spaceship don't even need a rearview mirror because there's nothing behind it that can catch up. I think about that every time I see somebody trying to drive their life and constantly looking behind them. I'm coaching somebody recently, and every time we almost make a breakthrough, you know, the tendency to think that what happened last time is about to happen the next time kept creeping up on him. Man, and I could see it. You know, it's one of the gifts that makes me a great coach is I can read nonverbal communication. I have great sense of discernment. Even over a Zoom, I can see it and sense it. I felt it, man. I could relate because I've been there and I still get there, right? But I remind myself of these truths, these mechanical truths, right? You can't move forward while you keeping both eyes locked on what's behind you. Right? Even the make of a car will remind you that. Like if you look at a car, yeah, it's got a rear view mirror, but that rear view mirror is small compared to the windshield. Right? The windshield is massive. Design tells the truth. Just think about that in life. Design will tell the truth. The way that things have to be made in order to work well, a lot of times that'll tell you exactly how life has to work well. Design tells the truth. And the design of a car tells you that reflection should be tiny. Vision should be wide. Yeah. If you're taking notes, that's a good time to take one. Reflection should be tiny. Vision should be wide. So let's break it down. I want to talk about what that lyric means to me as a man, as a leader, as a believer, and as somebody who came up in systems, tech systems and family systems, street systems. All of that, all of those systems reward motion, constant motion, right? And we'll talk about when to look back, when not to, and how to default to action when fear tries to freeze you up. Right? I want to go back to Dre for a minute. Andre 3000 wasn't just rhyming clever. He was telling you a rule of survival. Forward motion is the only safe state when your environment changes faster than your memory can update. If you ever launched anything, a new job, a family, you already know that moment where fear says, wait, look back, think about the things in the past. This is going to happen again. It's going to go bad like the things that went bad before. But we all have a strong instinct. And if we're in tune with it, it'll say, move anyway. Right? Sometimes you're in that, anybody that's a parent that's listening, you know that feeling. None of us know what to do. Every single parent in that moment, we like, man, I don't know. No book, no blueprint. But your parental instinct tells you move anyway. You got to default to action. The reason spaceships don't come equipped with rearview mirrors is because their job is exploration, not repetition. Spaceships don't even get used twice. That's our first principle today. You can't explore and rehearse at the same time. Spaceships don't get used twice. Don't get caught up in that cycle of thinking that you're going to go through the exact same pattern. Yeah, things might happen to you again, but if you're properly breaking that cycle, you're going to move. You need to move forward. You need to move forward, right? I'm going to share a quick story. One of the things that I've dealt with in my life is medical anxiety, being afraid to go to the doctor, right? And I had a doctor's appointment recently, and I went in to get to have blood drawn, to give blood, and not to give blood, but to have blood drawn so they could, do my yearly physical tests. And when they were doing it, the technician was inexperienced. And what she did, she tried to get the blood in multiple areas, and it ended up making me pass out. Right? She went in like the side of my arm, and she's like trying to push harder. And she's like, "Hey, do you feel okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I feel all right, And next thing you know, I'm like, "You know what? No, I don't. I feel kind of lightheaded," and I passed out. Next thing you know, I was waking up, and there were doctors around me. There was like a circle of doctors around me, and people were putting ice packs on me and helping me cool down. And it was traumatic. It was very traumatic. I've never had that experience before. So at the end of it, as I'm, getting my bearings and getting back on my feet and getting ready to leave, they were like, "You know what? We did not get all the blood though. So we're going to have to schedule you to come back next week." So that whole week I'm thinking, man, because I've always struggled with medical anxiety. It was pretty good victory for me to even have this willingness to go. I didn't even complain or feel bad about going. But now that this event happened, this trauma happened, a week later, coming back to do the exact same thing and potentially have it happen again, it was playing in my mind. It was playing in my mind. And a couple of days beforehand, I went to take a shower, and my mind is going. My mind is constantly going. And the words just came to me. You cannot move in fear. You're going to have to move forward, right? You're going to have to move forward. And that moment changed how I approached it. For some reason, the fear was just suppressed. I realized that panic is often just the body trying to do something when the mind refuses to move. So I made a rule for myself. I'm going to default to action. I know I need to go get this blood done. I may have some negative feelings about it. There's still it was only a couple of days ago, there was some lingering trauma, but I got to act. I got to move. When things are breaking, things break, things look rocky, act first. Just move. You got to move. You got to move. Movement creates the clarity, right? I'm not going to have 100% certainty, which is what my brain is craving. I want to be certain that's not going to happen to me again. That's not going to come to me. That's not available. But clarity came to me by just...
Hi, I'm Dr. Mary Claire Haver, a board-certified OBGYN and menopause specialist. My new podcast, Unpaused, is the place for bold, unfiltered conversations about what it really takes for women to thrive in the second half of life. Every week, I sit down with medical experts, cultural icons, and powerhouse women to talk about what really matters: your health, your power, and your future. We're covering hormones, identity, finances, relationships, and so much more. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Listen to and follow Unpaused with me, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
It's moving. And that's the mind state that I bring every day, right? To leadership, to mentorship, to coaching, to being a leader of my family. This situation is going to show up everywhere. And every time, the same truth applies. Action beats anxiety. Move. Anxiety gets stuck in our bodies. Move, go exercise, go for a walk, run, push-ups, move. Now let's talk real quick about that windshield. The windshield is where your perspective lives, right? You can look out, you can see the whole landscape, but you can also see the risk, you can see the opportunity. And that's big because life moves fast. Now that rearview mirror is small, but it is there for quick reference. It's there. You got to catch it, right? You glance, you don't stare. It's not designed for you to meditate on. It's designed for momentary correction. Let me take a look up there. Okay, right? Momentary correction. And then there's that spaceship, man. It don't have a mirror at all. No. Because when you've reached escape velocity, what's behind you can't even follow. And that's what growth feels like sometimes. Sometimes you grow, you put in that work. It's tough. But after a while, you see, I'm not even hindered by this anymore. It's completely behind me. It's so far behind me, it can't follow. I don't need a rearview mirror. Reflection stops being relevant when you're in that next phase. So here's the pattern. It's kind of a hidden pattern. Windshield mode, observe, decide, move. Rearview mirror mode, verify a lesson, then release it. No mirror mode, commit fully, because sometimes hesitation costs more than mistakes. I hope you heard me on that one. Sometimes you are in no mirror mode. You commit fully. Because hesitation costs more than mistakes, right? Give an example of that. You're in a marriage, you move, you commit fully. Hesitation costs more than mistakes. You try to hesitate, you try to keep your, I'm in it, but I'm not in it because of things happened to me in the past. I think they might happen again. No. You go, you commit fully, you go make mistakes. He's gonna, she's gonna. but it's commitment fully, right? Most of us get trapped switching modes at the wrong time. We stare backwards. We staring backwards, staring when we should be steering forward. Or we launch without ever learning from the crash. We don't even look back. Sometimes you're in no mirror mode when you need to be in rearview mirror mode, right? The mastery is about knowing when to shift each mode. Let me put it another way from a system thinker's perspective. Imagine if your mind is software, memory is version control. Every experience is like a patch, an update. When you cling to the past, you run an old code that might not be compatible with your current system. Lock the versions that serve you. Deprecate the rest. Run new builds on a schedule, not in the middle of the drive, not in the middle of a sprint, on a schedule. Because fear is just an unverified alert. Before you react to fear, verify it. Verify it. If it's real, act. If it's noise, mute it. Mute it. Mute the noise. Your Slack channel has alerts all over the place. Nobody knows what to do. That's how a lot of us are living life. Our main Slack channel is full of alerts. Some of it is from things that are not even relevant to us anymore. Our team don't even support that anymore. But it's still in your main channel. Mute it. That's how a post-human intelligence would process emotion, right? Not ignoring it, not logging it, auditing it, and then executing it. You can do the same. Because here's what keeps most people stuck, right? The world rewards backwards focus. Our fees, our debate, our nostalgia, it's all monetized reflection. Right? They want you to look back, right? Make America great again. Think about the old days. They want you to look back. There's profit in keeping your attention on what's already happened. Why? Because that's predictable data. I mean, when was the last time a new movie came out? A brand new idea, a fresh idea. Everything's a reboot because that's predictable data. Why does every rapper sound the same? When I grew up, all rappers were different, but every rapper sounds the same now. Why? Because that's predictable data. These companies don't want to take the risk. They want what's predictable. They would rather predictably sell at 80% than sometimes hit 40 and sometimes hit 100, right? But the cost is massive across the board. Let these companies run this way, but you cannot. You become fluent in your history and illiterate in your future. It doesn't even make sense. You start building identities around analysis. I want to analyze the past. There's so many people with an identity or a podcast or something wrapped around the past. But how many things are wrapped around progress? How many things are wrapped around where we go next?
I'm Dr. Mary Claire Haver. Ready for honest conversations about thriving in midlife? Listen to and follow my new podcast, Unpaused, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Not many. Look, growth requires movement. Reflection refines our movement, right? But reflection without motion, man, that's just a cycle. It's just memory rehearsal, right? So let's come back to what I said earlier about when I got up and went to that doctor, even though I didn't want to. And guess what? That second time I went, they already knew what happened to me. They had already discussed it and they had already made changes so that it wouldn't happen again. That same nurse was there, but she did not take me. There was somebody else there waiting for me to get there. They took me into a different room. And they handled it with care and made sure that it was done quickly by the most experienced technician, and I had no issues. And I walked into that because I defaulted to action. Now, I could have hesitated. I could have called and postponed that meeting because, I'm not going to lie. I wanted to. Part of me wanted to, but I didn't. I went in there, I got it, and it worked out. Default to action. That's not about being reckless, but it is about refusing to let fear have the last word. When the pressure hits, here's what I want you to do. Just name what's actually happening. What is it? What's going on? Right? Think about what it is. A lot of times, I remember thinking this at work, right? Like, this is computer. I remember when I first started, I'm like, this is just computer stuff. It's not a threat to my identity, right? It's just a computer. It's not working right. We can get it going. Once you name what it is, you shrink it to size, then move, right? And for a lot of us, we're just scared to say what we're afraid of. Say it. Even a wrong move teaches you faster than overthinking ever will. I'm going to say that one again. Even a wrong move teaches you faster than overthinking ever will. Go. Because look, momentum gives you feedback you can feel. That's how leaders evolve. The greatest people and the greatest leaders who are doing things, they're moving. They're not overthinking. That's how believers keep faith. They're going. They're not sitting up and questioning every single thing and waiting for 100% certainty. No, they're moving. That's how families survive chaos. They come back to the table. They don't sit and stir in it. They don't sit and let it fester. They come back to the table. They move. So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to break this down into multiple sections for things that we all can try. For one, personally, here's a personal practice you can do for anybody who's listening for personal improvement. Once a week, do a Rearview audit. Write 3 lines. One thing worth keeping, one thing to mute, and one action that will move things forward in the next 24 hours. All right, I'm going to say that again. Write down one thing worth keeping. One thing to mute. Not going to keep that in my feed anymore. Not going to think about it. Not going to worry and stress on it. I'm going to mute it. And then one action that moves something forward within 24 hours. Even if it's a small action. What's one thing? Is there a text that I meant to send? Is there an email I'm late on? Is there a phone call? Is there a trip? Is there an errand I need to run? What's one thing that'll move something forward? Right? And to any of my leaders out there, if you're listening to learn how to lead your team better, for tips that can lead your team, here's what we can do. After every win, let's take 10 minutes for a post-victory retro, right? Ask ourselves, man, what produced that win? How did we do that? What led to it? What input led to this outcome? And once you identify it, lock it in as standard. A couple of weeks ago, I had really good, string of days. I had 4 great days at work. And then I had a meeting with my manager. And then first thing in the one-on-one, he's like, what's up? What's going on? What's on your mind? And I was like, man, I had a string of great days. First question he asked was, wow. He's like, man, that's so good. What caused it? What led to it? Let's trap it. Let's put it in a bottle, right? That's what I want us to do. You want to lead your team after you win, identify what led to that win and lock it in as standard, right? And then choose one small experiment so you can grow next time. But don't change that lock. Lock it in. Keep that. And then try to experiment with something small next time so you can keep growing, right? And if you're leading a family, man, I want to try to do this myself, man. On a Sunday, maybe Sunday night, have a mute and amplify ritual. Everybody in the family gets to name one behavior or influence to mute for the week. I'm just going to turn it off. And then one to amplify, right? Here's one I want to do more of and one I want to mute. And keep trying that. These tiny rituals build momentum into a culture. At home, you have a culture. At work, you have a culture, right? And that culture can turn that motion into discipline. Now, look, I want to be sure that you understand. I'm not saying you should ignore the past. Sometimes that rear view is going to save you. If you keep crashing into the same spot, that mirror is your friend. Trust me. But you're supposed to use it to find a pattern. Use it to find a pattern. And once you found a pattern, only long enough to design a safer route. If I got to back up to get out of a parking spot, I'm looking in my rear view, making sure there's nobody behind me. But once I'm out of that parking spot and I shift back in the drive, am I still looking in that mirror? That doesn't make any sense. No, I'm looking in the windshield. I am looking at the landscape. All right? Driving forward while staring backwards that's how accidents happen. Reflection has its time, but usually you're driving. So let's bring it back. Spaceships don't come equipped with rearview mirrors. They dip. They dip. They don't have rearview mirrors because they're not built to return back to where they started. They're built to explore. And if you're building anything new, a business, a belief system, a better version of yourself, you're the pilot. You are the pilot. Your environment will tell you to slow down, look back, replay, but your design tells you a different story. Tells you built for flight. So look, keep memory scheduled, not constant. Keep action active, not reactive. And keep faith in your navigation system, okay? Momentum without memory is just motion. Schedule that memory. Live in the motion. Because what's ahead of you is always wider than what's behind you. Let's go back to the design. What's ahead of you is always wider than what's behind you. And that mirror, that little tiny mirror, that's just meant for glances, not guidance. So look, this is Jay Floyd, and this is on everything. Thank you for joining me. Catch you next time, y'all.
I'm Dr. Mary Claire Haver, and my new podcast, Unpaused, is the place for bold, unfiltered conversations about what it takes for women to thrive in the second half of life. Listen to and follow Unpaused, available now wherever you get your podcasts.